Okay, so let's go back into the session and for Want You, and we'll start with the lead vocal.
Love like red wine.
And so what I do is if I get the vocals from a vocalist and they're not tuned, I will put them into Pro Tools and I'll edit them and melodyne them so that they're nice and in tune. And I'll also do some other editing like timing and fixing S sounds. And I'll bounce them down and then drop them into my Ableton session. So that's what I did here. Is these vocals were already tuned, and that's MLD. That means melodyne. That I melodyned it.
Love like red wine, spilled on a white rug. Yeah, it's a mess, but it will all be fine.
So that is the vocal by itself, and I cut off some lows with an EQ8. Added a compressor. This is a VC76 from Native Instruments. Waves has one. It's a CLA 76, and I use it all the time on vocals.
Love like red wine.
I took out some other low mids. I added a CLA vocal for just a little more treble and some more compression. So after doing that compression, I have a little more rolling off of the lows, and I do that a lot. I'm constantly looks like I did it a lot on here. I'm constantly making sure that I'm not whenever I'm compressing, I'm not bringing in too many low frequencies. So I'm constantly trying to cut off some of the low frequencies. And then right here, I'm just pulling down a little bit, around 5 to 7K. And then I have a de-esser. And then I have that bust into another track right here. This is the lead vox effects. So a lot of times I'll do this now just on the same track, but it looks like I was doing it, sending it to a different track. These vocals to a different track so I could process it with some reverb and delays. And one way that I do that is I create an audio effect rack and I create a chain that is just the clean signal.
Spilled on a white rug.
And then I'll add a chain for each effect. So I'll add a chain for a hall verb. I'll add a chain for an eighth delay. I'll add a chain for a quarter delay. I'll add a chain for distortion.
Spilled on a white rug. Yeah, it's a mess, but it will all be fine. Those sleepless nights, laying by your side, hearing your voice makes everything alright. I will know.
So that is the vocals with all of the effects on it. And this compressor, whenever I bring in the ad-libs toward the end of the song, I don't want this vocal clashing with the ad-libs.
I want you. I can love who I want. I don't need a reason. Love who I want.
So there's some ad-libs going on there.
I want you. I can love who I want. I don't need.
And that just helps those ad-libs come through the mix a little more clear without having to boost them up in volume a lot, because I'm side chaining my lead vocal with those ad-libs. So the lead vocal is coming down, the ad-libs are kind of taking the place of that lead vocal in the mix.
Something new to believe in.
So during that little break, you hear this low voice come in.
Believe it.
And so that's what this is right here. And let's see. I just took this from the lead vocal, put it on a new track, and transposed it down 12 steps. You get that low vocal sound. Another technique to make vocals a little more interesting and fill up empty spaces is to do a reverse vocal. You can find information on how to do this everywhere. Basically, you take a small piece of the vocal, lead vocal, or whatever vocal you want to have that reverse sound on, reverse it, add on some reverb, print it, and then reverse it back to non-reversed, to just put it back to how it was before it was reversed.
Love like red wine.
So there you hear that in the intro of the song. There were some harmonies that I think I actually created using Melodyne. So you can take the lead vocal and you could create another track and put it into Melodyne and Melodyne harmonies on top of your lead vocal, and they sound pretty realistic if you kind of mix them right in the mix. And so I think I did this for some of the melodies.
But it will all be fine.
Like right there.
This makes everything alright. I will no longer feel like the broken hearted. Better, stronger with you now than when I started. Makes everything alright.
So this part he actually sang, but I didn't. This part I melodined.
Makes everything alright.
And created that from the lead vocal.
Makes everything alright. I will no longer feel like the broken hearted. Better, stronger with you now than when I started.
And so I have a lot of similar stuff going on. I use just EQ8 a lot. The VC76, VC2A. Waves has one called the CLA2A. This is a passive EQ from Native Instruments. I have a de-esser, and then this is the vocal chain. I have, to make it sound kind of wide and chorusy, I have a doubler and a micro shift. This is the clean signal.
Makes everything alright. I will no longer feel like the broken hearted. Better, stronger with you now than.
And then that's with that chorus effect from the doubler and the micro shift.
Love who I want, love who I want, I want you.
So let's play the harmonies with the lead vocal.
The one that I wanted, one that I wanted. I can love who I want, I don't need a reason. Love who I want, love who I want, I want you. I can love who I want, I don't need a reason. Love who I want, love who I want you.
Okay. So it looks like I did a lot of automation on this lead vocal as well. And so I will automate the gain to pull down S sounds manually, because sometimes de-essers don't do a lot of the de-essing that is needed, and it just sounds a lot more natural if you just go through it manually. So that's kind of a pain, but it works really well.
Like the broken hearted.
So this is a stack, and a stack by meaning that I have doubles of the lead vocal. So I have one pan to the left, one pan to the right, and so then there's a lead vocal in the center, one on the left and one on the right. And I'll do that to make them a little bit focus on a little bit bigger for like a pre-chorus or the chorus.
Like the broken hearted, better, stronger with you now than when I started. You're the only one, you're the don't need a reason. Love who I want, love who I want.
And now to mix these doubles, to start mixing it, what you can do is just when you have, if the vocalist records the vocals on the same mic, you can just apply the same processing that you did to the lead vocal to the stacks, and then maybe just pull down some of the high frequencies so they're not clashing too much. But that's kind of like a good way to have a starting point instead of having to mix these from scratch each time, because sometimes you can have like way more stacks than that.
I want you.
So this is a high part for the chorus.
Love who I want, love who I want you.
And sometimes I'll melodyne the vocals and then even add some auto-tune after that just to kind of make sure that they're really in tune. And I think that's what I did here because he's screaming it and I wanted to make sure it was like really, really in tune because it was going to be in your face. And I have a little bit of Altar Boy on here just to in the background, just to probably thicken it up a little bit.
Love who I want, love who I want you.
And sometimes I'll put some echo throws on a separate track, so that's what I'm doing here.
Won't love who I want you.
So you can hear how that echoes out, and I just put that on a new track and have the delay pretty loud.
Love who I want, love who I want you. I don't need a reason. Love who
And of course,
love who I want, love who I want you.
that is stacked.
Love who I want, love who I want you. I don't need a reason. I can love who I want. I don't need a reason.
And then he did a high octave too that I have three, one in the center, one on left, one on right.
I can love who I want. I don't need a reason. I can love who I want. I don't need a reason. Love who I want. Love who I want. I want you. I can.
Okay. And let's see what I did here. So I got EQ8, VC76, using VC76 a lot, CLA vocal, some reverb and some delay. Kind of kept it simple on the center one. And then these stacks, I have a doubler on.
I can love who I want. I want.
And that's the low I want you. And it looks like I just transposed the lead vocal down 12 steps to get it down to the octave. And then I'm adding some OTT and some micro shift and some reverb. And so these are just little ear candy vocal sounds that I made. And so you can put these throughout the track, your song. Just take little vocal parts and mess with them, put distortion on them, put reverb on them, put them in between the breaks, and just to add little things that make the track a little different in various parts.
I'll be fine. Those sleepless nights.
So that's just like a little yeah sound. So I have some stacks during the second verse.
I turned it around. You gave me something new to believe in. I will no longer feel like the broken hearted. Better, stronger with you.
Sorry, that's actually the pre-chorus. And so those are just some other lower stacks that I add during the second pre-chorus to make it a little bit different. And I have a couple of stacks during the bridge.
Good, good, so good. Now that you're around, nothing holds us down. You're all I needed. We're good, good, so good. Yeah, I can love who I want. I don't want.
So here's the stack bus for the bridge.
All my dreams came true. I can be with you. You're all I needed. We're good, good, so good. Now that you're around, nothing holds us down. You're all I needed. We're good, good, so good. Yeah, I can love who I want. I don't want.
These are the
Don't need a
ad-libs.
reason. Love who I want, yeah. I can love who I want. Don't need a reason. Love who I want.
So I have a lot of different things going on there. I have EQ8, VC76, a little more VQ8, CLA vocals. I have a little bit of a spreader on these ones to give them a little bit of a chorus wide sound. After that, I put some more compression on the VC76, little alter board to give a little thickness to the vocal. And this is Fab Filter Timeless, which gives it a really cool analog tape echo delay. And then I have
I can love who I want.
some more reverb here. This is RC48, which is a reverb from Native Instruments. I have the clean signal and echo boy delay from Soundtoys, and a little bit of distortion. And I'm using a radiator plugin from Soundtoys. So let's solo the vocals.
Needed, we're good, so good. Yeah, I can love who I want. I don't need a reason. Love who I want. Love who I want. I want you. I can love who I want. I don't need a reason. Love who I want. Love who I want. I want you.
So that was all the vocals together, and now these are just some more ear candy things I add in during the second pre-chorus.
Now than when I started, you're the only one. You're the only one that I.
So they're very faint, you can barely hear them, but they add to the mix. And they're just a technique for making your vocals sound a little more interesting. And so that is an overview of the vocal production for my song Want You. So we've gone over from the beginning of having a chord progression to figuring out how to structure it out into a full song, and then going into how to produce that structure, what you're changing, how to make sections different, and then once you have that whole track together, going to the songwriting part, getting the vocals done, how to make the vocals a little bit more interesting, and then going into the production of the vocals. And then that ties everything together, and hopefully that'll help you better structure out your songs and get your ideas down, and hopefully that gave you some ideas on how to make your ideas into songs. All right, thanks.